Sit here and watch the national debt clock rise as it reflects an astronomical debt neither we nor any future generation will ever be able to repay. Thanks, international bankers and political parasitic sock puppets. Let me ask you a question. What if you were able to earn $56 million a day? What could you accomplish with it? That would be $1.7 billion each and every month, or about $21 billion a year in your pocket and tax-free. Of course, using a calculator, you could easily determine that over the course of a decade, you would have accumulated $207 billion. That's almost $250 billion. And what if I told you that rather than having to do anything to earn that money, it was just given to you by a group of people who had the monopolized power to extort such a large sum from people who had no say in the matter? Well, that's what we spend each and every year on NASA. $20.7 billion every year. That's a little over $56 million each and every day. NASA is literally a money pit that keeps getting deeper and deeper. The money doesn't go to feed the poor, it doesn't go toward housing the homeless, it doesn't even go to patching potholes or fixing bridges or helping to find a cure for cancer. And I'm not saying that money should be extorted to do any of these things. Robbery is still robbery, no matter what excuse you use to justify it. But this massive sum of money, and this is just one small wasteful aspect of government, this huge sum of money doesn't go to benefit anybody but the recipients of such funding. And what do we get in return? Basically, we get images. Doctored, pre-approved, government-issued images. Images and reports. Oh, and fireworks shows that dump tons and tons of government-sanctioned carbon emissions into the atmosphere, while that same government aims to penalize us for our comparatively insignificant carbon footprints.
3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff of the Atlas V, launching the first interplanetary mission from the West Coast, and NASA's InSight, the first outer space robotic explorer to study the interior of Mars.
Well, yesterday, I'm watching the Counterfeit News Network as they attempted to sell viewers on the idea that NASA and the Jet Propulsion Laboratory landed a $1 billion spacecraft on the Martian surface. As an interesting side note, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, formerly Aerojet Corporation, was co-founded by occultist Marvel Whiteside Parsons, also known as Jack Parsons, who was a protege of occultist Aleister Crowley, aka the Beast 666, or affectionately known as the wickedest man in the world. But I digress. Or do I? Speaking of the wickedest in the world, let's go back to CNN.
All right, you are looking live pictures of the JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Pasadena, California. We are mere minutes of finding out if this InSight probe will actually land on Mars. Let's listen in.
In this 9.5-minute Counterfeit News broadcast, all we see is a room full of supposed technicians sitting at their computer consoles, staring at screens while a voice reads off statistics about the supposed altitude of this $1 billion spacecraft in relation to the Martian surface. When the woman's voice says the touchdown of the spacecraft is confirmed, this happens.
Touchdown confirmed.
People in remote locations celebrated, the technicians celebrated, and apparently people around the world celebrated. But if you think about it, they were only celebrating what amounts to nothing more than the televised image of people looking at their computer screens and listening to a voice spitting out altitude readings. And evidently, all it took for people to come out of their seats in astonishment were the words, "Touchdown confirmed." Late last night, NASA tweeted a single image allegedly from the Martian surface. I guess you could call this the $1 billion photo. Here's how CNN sold it.
Oh my goodness, the high fives, the fist bumps, the hugs. Ladies and gentlemen, NASA, they have achieved something pretty extraordinary. The InSight probe has now officially landed on Mars. I can feel the excitement. Dawn, and then Miles, and then Rachel. Dawn, first to you. What do you think of this scene?
Now guys, it would be difficult to top the dishonest practices of CNN and their highly paid news actors. A wise general rule of thumb when watching any CIA-sponsored Operation Mockingbird broadcast from mainstream media is believe nothing and question everything. With all that money NASA rakes in each day, they didn't even have the decency to treat their audience to any CGI. And really, if you think about it, the only thing we have to go on that mankind has landed a spacecraft on Mars is the words of NASA, JPL, and mainstream media. So, did we land a spacecraft on Mars? How the heck would I know? If I said we did, it'd be a matter of faith or belief in what corrupt government agents and a dishonest media told me. And if other people are honest with themselves, that's all they have to go on as well. Can I confirm or prove it? No. Do I believe it? No. I can confirm and prove that they stole $1 billion from Americans to say they put a spacecraft on Mars. I can confirm and prove that governments lie, cheat, steal, and do other things while they strip us of our rights. I can definitely confirm and prove that time after time, CNN unceasingly lies to their viewers. And I can also confirm that at this point, anyone would be hard-pressed to give any good reason to trust the government or the media. But I can't confirm that we actually landed anything on Mars. And I don't need to. We've got much bigger fish to fry right here on Earth. In regard to manned or unmanned space travel, I know that this guy, former astronaut Don Pettit, says that we don't currently have the technology to go to the moon anymore, let alone to Mars, because for some unknown reason we destroyed that technology.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But going to Mars should be one of the next series of steps that humans do. The first step should be going back to the moon for a number of technical reasons and exploration reasons, and then after that Mars, maybe high orbit in Venus atmosphere, maybe going to Europa. There's all kinds of targets to go to, places of interest in our solar system. The only limit to human future is in our own imaginations.
Maybe we should listen to William Shatner, who says there's no difference between science and science fiction. He says they're essentially the same.
My question is, through your career and your writing and your acting, you've inspired so many people to enter the sciences. How do you balance science with science fiction?
They're both the same. The mystery of science fiction is what I'm talking about. Science and science fiction are essentially the same.
Thank you very much.
How do you prove a black hole? How do you know those gravitational waves proved the collision of two black holes?
Somehow, eventually, they are able to observe phenomena.
No, they can't observe. It's too far away. It's too theoretical. How do we know what they're saying is true? You know what it really is? It's all science fiction.
And lastly, in regard to sending human beings to the moon, NASA engineer Kelly Smith says that we've got a problem with space travel concerning the powerful and deadly Van Allen radiation belts. If we don't solve this problem, we can't send anybody to this region of space.
As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
If that's the problem we currently have today, it kind of makes you wonder how we sent anybody to the moon back in the 60s. So what do you guys think? Did we send a spacecraft to Mars? How about the moon? If so, where's the evidence? Should we trust CNN? Should we trust NASA or the Jet Propulsion Laboratory? Leave your thoughts for the world and the Google Thought Police in the comments section below. I'll see you guys in the next video.